Hi everybody, I'm Chris. We're going to talk about your vision, and all of you look like visionaries. We're going to talk about your vision of turning your online store into a real store. I would like to see, I tried to make the presentation kind of across a lot of boundaries. This is for people that are really starting a new store. If you have a brick and mortar operation and you think, gosh, maybe to expand my market I need to go online, what does that look like? I'm a traditional factory distribution, manufacturing, and I want to give my customers, I love hearing this, the Amazon-like experience, for $5,000. And I want to be able to give them that ability to shop, but can't really get rid of my whole back-end system. And then also people, and are there any old school NOP people here besides us who recognize this beautiful template? If you have an old and ugly website that needs to be updated, we're also going to cover that. That is the ugliest template that NOP ever came out with, and probably why NOP templates exists today, because that one was really bad. So that's who I'm trying to, kind of make a broad pitch to, and I want to know who's in the audience. So do we have anybody who is a store owner looking for a new website? Okay, good. How about developers who are implementing stores? Perfect. People who just didn't want to go to the other presentation. Okay. I'm with Irvine Software Company. I'm one of the partners. My very supportive other partners are up here up front. And we are a team of developers, project managers that have been doing business applications for a very long time. And we were ones who had customers who said, we want our clients to have that Amazon-like experience. So we started working with NOP in about 2010. And I would say that it's most of what we do now, but it's pretty big. And because we do have a lot of business application experience, we've had a lot of fun extending it, changing it, making it do what people want, and integrating it with their existing systems. These are just a few of the NOP sites we've done. I guess it's most of the NOP sites we've done, but we're really proud of it. And one of the things I'm proud of is that all of the logos are sized differently, as are our companies. And some of the smaller companies have bigger logos. They were some of my favorite projects. And some of the bigger companies, I'm happy they're happy. But it's really fun to help somebody succeed. And that's what we want to talk about today. So why I feel like I might be the right person to help you through that journey. I've been doing IT a lot longer than it's been called IT. It was, what was it? It was data processing maybe? Something like that, 40 years ago. And I used to go to a lot of conferences where I was the only woman. I've actually had a couple guys come up to me and say, I've never met a woman developer before. And it's like, well, you're welcome. But I've been working with NOP since version 1.9. We do B2B, B2C, multiple industries, B2E. And then we do have expertise, I think, and I hope, in the planning and the execution and the design of NOP sites. So when clients come to us and ask us what they want, or tell us what they want to do, it's kind of what we're going to talk about, is how to listen to what they're saying and translate that into NOP, using as much as you can of the core functionality and just maybe bumping it out a little. And my motto, this really is my motto. I haven't lost one yet. I used to teach IT. I taught people how to use a mouse, and that was like mind-blowing. And that's when they first came out. And they would be like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to keep my job. I haven't lost one yet. And I still haven't. I need water. I'm losing my voice after all. So the other people that you'll see from Irvine Software, Corey, Yevgeny, 2 other certified NOP developers, and way better than me there. Melanie works with us on SEO, but she's also a client. Melanie's a very successful NOP store owner, so she can help you with real stories about real things that work for NOP and not just, theories. So she doesn't play one on TV. So why e-commerce and why nopCommerce? If you are thinking, I want to do a business, I want to make some money, I have this great idea, I have a product, I'm not sure how to go about it, it's kind of where I'm going to start on this, although I'm going to do a case study with an actual client and website. But I thought some of these, and I'm not going to read, I swear to God, I'm not going to read a bunch of statistics today. But this is my one stat slide, because I thought, how big is e-com? and 13 million e-commerce sites worldwide. Not that we thought it was going anywhere, but that's a ton. And the number's growing a little over 9% a year, but only of those 13 million sites, 670,000 only sell more than $1,000 annually, and meaning that the others sell less. Okay, so that's important to hear. Exactly, like ouch. So I think that what I'm trying to get to is going into something that is low risk, high reward is probably what you want to target. Because if you aren't sure, and if you have an idea and you don't have a lot of money, and that fits a lot of people, this is a good way to start. And I was, by the way, sidebar, I was very suspicious of open source. I've been Microsoft my whole life. And not because I'm a masochist, I like to eat. And there's always something wrong, and there's always something to fix. So I spent years in networks, infrastructure, disaster recovery, storage, replication, all that other stuff. So open source is like, yeah, I don't trust it. It's, it's flaky, it's the guy in the garage. It's not true. It's amazing. And we'll talk a little bit more about our place in the community, but I'm going to tell you that the open source aspect of NOP and the ability to get in and try your business and do your dream for free, essentially, is amazing. And I watched suspiciously for the first couple of years, and then I got there was no trick. So that's pretty exciting. Top 10 online retailers are getting 25 to 183 million views per month. That's what VPM is. So you should be so lucky. Probably most of you won't spend the billions of dollars that they're spending on the websites that they do. And don't go to your developer and say, I want a website just like Amazon, unless that's the kind of money you're willing to invest. But that doesn't mean you can't be successful by using an open source platform and getting exactly what you want for very little. So, okay, why not? So we just talked a bit about open source, and then I'm saying a hosted solution. What I'm talking about is like an Etsy or another marketplace like that. You can do eBay. You can sell in a lot of places. But if you really want this to be your store, your brand, and to have the complete control over it, and not to give a piece of your business away to somebody because they're doing your website, that's why you would have your own. If you're not sure, I have an Etsy store. I do artwork at night. I don't want to support my own website. I have all my family to do tech support for. I can't do my own. So I have an Etsy store. There is a place for something like that, but if you want a website that's your business with your domain, then I think that this is there. I can't think of any other solution that even comes close. This solution, as you probably heard, and a lot of things can grow with your business too. So if you're starting small, if you're not sure, that's great. We have a lovely client in Canada. They had 8 bookstores in the family. And all the stores are closed, and this man has a warehouse of 65,000 titles. And I hate to brag, but they're the world's largest supplier of accordion music. So that's pretty exciting. And this man spends every day scanning books, one-of-a-kind books, music books, in putting them on the website and selling them. Because we moved them to a newer version of NOP, helped them with their keywords a little bit. They weren't that open to it. But they've quadrupled their sales in the last couple of years. So they went from this being like a starving artist situation to, oh my gosh, we're making a living. So they're not Amazon, they're not millionaires, but they're exactly who they wanted to be, which is doing something they love. That's pretty neat. But definitely grew with them. So, shop owner's responsibilities. I'm not reading this to you, I'm scaring you. I want you to pay attention to this because you are the shop owner. You are responsible for everything. So if you have a brick and mortar store, you may say, well, I get this. No, you don't. You do not. When you're in a brick and mortar store, you're not doing SEO. You're not taking money from people that you'll never meet. You're not worried about servers. You're not worried. So I'm not trying to scare you away. I'm trying to make you pay attention. I actually do business with people that I know will never go live. because they do have this dream of having a store, but they don't really want to do or aren't able to start the work to actually do the transactions. So it makes me sad, but it happens because people have this dream of business, but the truth is it's a lot of hard work, and just going online doesn't make it easier. It makes it just as hard and a little different. So is anybody here brick and mortar that's thinking about going online? Okay. I'm not trying to make you not do it. Listening? Okay. So you're responsible for everything. So you're already used to, the business and the marketing side of it, but the technical side, you probably have a guy, or, you have the systems that you have, POS, whatever, inventory, accounting. But you're going to have to get a different kind of bank account than you have now unless you're already taking credit cards. And you might want a separate one anyway for online and in-store. So there's more to it than you have. So the best approach, I was going to write the line, but I didn't want to offend anybody. You've heard the saying, how to eat an elephant? That's it right there. So this is an elephant. This is a big problem. If you're a store owner, it's like deer in the headlights. Like, where do I start? So we're going to start on the bites. So I love to plan. I'm a project manager because I don't like surprises at all. So I think it's really good to do your due diligence. So know your market. Know who you're going to be selling against. Know who you're going to be selling to. Find out what it is that is interesting to them. So understand how your competitors are selling. The difference between having a lower price but charging shipping and having free shipping and a little higher price, it might be the difference between getting a sale and not getting a sale. The kinds of payments that you take will make a difference. I'm a developer. I understand exactly how payment transactions work on websites. Any day of the week, I personally would rather use PayPal than a credit card. Why? Because I don't want anybody getting, my credit card information. And it's like, I know and we've never had a problem with that. And I believe in the security of our payment processors. But I also hear that Target got hacked. So, you know what I mean? So think about your customers. They don't know you. And if you don't give them reasons to buy, other than the lowest price, just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean they're going to buy from you. You have to give them a reason. So you have to tell a compelling story about your products. You have to make yourself competitive with other people in your industry. If possible, set yourself apart. And you might want to focus on a subset of products that you have instead of trying to do everything all at once. It's better to be successful, you're 80-20. Pick your 20%, your best ones. Get those out there. Really put some oomph behind those. And then once that gets rolling, then you can add. And you might find yourself surprised at what's working and what's not. So it's good to try on smaller things and do your experimenting and your analysis on that. Think about where you're going to ship. Think about how you're going to ship. And again, what forms of payment. You have to have policies for returns and refunds. That's just part of being PCI compliant. But what are your business policies? Are the things that you sell seasonal and, am I buying a Christmas decoration, I'm returning it in February? That stinks because you're not probably going to be able to resell that, for another 6 or 8 months. And then you also have to realize on allocating a budget, have a budget for your development, but also understand that there's money to maintain it. And again, I'm not trying to scare you away. You just have to be practical. In order to maintain your business, it's not necessarily a technical expenditure in the sense that something will break and it'll have to be fixed, but maybe you want to try a new campaign or get some new graphics, and that's part of your maintenance. You might want to do some advertising. That's part of your maintenance. That's something that you're not paying for now. So think about that when you're doing your costs, and then getting people to your site. There was a commercial, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, where some people set up a website and they were staring at the screen and all of a sudden the numbers just blew up and it was like, oh my gosh, we have 10,000 orders. That never happens, ever. Never. So if you build it, they will come, but slowly, unless there's a reason or a way to drive them to your site. So get with somebody who knows what they're doing. with SEO. Get with somebody who can help you structure your website. It's worth it, even if you're really on a low budget, it's worth it to get a professional and pay that money up front, even for some just-in-time coaching, than to be frugal and continue to be poor. So there's this weird kind of conundrum where people don't want to spend a lot of money because they don't have a lot of money, but they're not making any money. I get it. We're a small business. We don't just, throw baskets of money around. But there's a time and a place, and if you're serious about doing this, you have to be serious about doing it. And realize that once your website's there, you're also going to be putting in products, you're going to be putting in descriptions, you're going to be taking orders, you're going to be responding to emails, picking up the phone. So be prepared for those things, because honestly, I have customers who are saying, all these people keep calling. It's like, that's a good thing. But they don't realize that, there's a whole other business behind a website. So just the business of the business is something to pay attention to. We do a step-by-step planning guide. I know this is going to be available online. If anybody wants this, I don't care. We're happy to share, because everybody's success is our success. But this is the guide we use. So we have people go down the line. And one of the things I do with my clients, for those of you who are in our shoes and doing development work, is don't give the poor people this thing without some of it being filled out, so they know that, some of the bites are already taken. And then really do ask for one or maybe 2 bites at a time. Don't say, here's the 26 things you have to do, because they won't do any of them. It's overwhelming, especially for a first-timer. And that's it. Ours is just not quite 2 pages. So there are a lot of things we go through. Again, those are available. And it's just the general, what are you going to ship? The stuff we talked about earlier. But I'm going to focus on one thing, which is the hardest thing for people to decide about, but it's what they feel inside. It's what they want. It's what's motivating them. So they can picture this vision, their product on the website. And so I'm going to talk about the UI UX and what a difference it does make. So this is a case study. I do have some slides because I wasn't sure if we'd have internet in here, but we do. So I actually have both sides up in the back. But I think this is a pretty good and compelling one. So this is an old knob site, pretty grim. In its day, it was cool. It actually, like I said, I have it open back here. Looks just like the PowerPoint. There we go. So they're very excited about they call them their glass buttons. Can you see it? Oh, no. So if it's on my screen, it's not on that screen?
Well, turn off this light.
Turn off what light?
Turn off this light.
What? Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't know it was going to be like that. I'm not sure how to do that. I thought it was escape, but I'm used to having 2 screens. How do you do it? You want to be my Vanna? That's what I was doing. That's all right. I'll just pretend I don't have it then, because I'm ready. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh.
Now it's up. Of course it is. Oh, no, that's my slide. It looks just like the website, except it doesn't move as much. So this is an old NOP site. It's version 1.8, which is like old school, and it's pretty dreadful looking, actually. So I had an interesting conversation. So it's funny. They contacted us because we're on the website as partners. Don't want to spend a lot of money. This site doesn't really matter to us, and I've never really had anybody say that before. So you want me to redo your website, but it doesn't really matter. Went out to meet with them. Despite looks, this company does about $80 million a year in car accessories. So they sell to Walmart, they sell to Target, they sell to Amazon. So they're selling everywhere. They have a 100,000 square foot facility in Southern California. They employ tons of people. They literally manufacture all these products. So they don't care about the website. It's just that when they go out to these big marketing meetings, they say, do you have a website? So they had to bring one up. Well, he said, I'm really embarrassed now. When people say, do you have a website? I'm like, yeah, I do. So I met with the president, I met with the chairman of the board. The chairman actually founded the company, so he's older than me, and still working, and then the president is younger. So what they wanted was, the president wanted like videos and like, cool people doing interesting things with fun car parts, and the chairman's like, I hate that stuff. I can never read it, but I like the people. That's good. I like pictures, but I don't want anything moving around. And it's like, okay, we can work with that. And so, but you have to hear people. You have to hear what they want because it is their vision. It's not yours. So this, by the way, is the mobile version of their site, which is actually the full website on a mobile phone. And because it's this big, I can see it, but on my phone I can't. So, but at least it comes up. Okay, now I'm really messed up because I don't know if my slides are still up. Well, let's just hit the thing and see what happens. I don't know. Sorry to do this, guys. I think I'm going to have to... Hey, look, it's the website. I'm not talking about it. He's not helping me. Okay. So, here we go. All right. And we did that one. Okay. So, the lifestyle pictures with people. By the way, people sell products. We had a company that sold meat, butcher, and they were sending us all these pictures of bloody meat. And it's like, that's not really super appealing. We understand that's what you're shipping, but please show one that's cooked and maybe a happy person eating it and some vegetables. So, it helps a little bit to talk your customers through what's appealing on a website because they're really focused on, huh? I was looking for tissue. But when my customer told me I don't want to be embarrassed when someone asks to see my website, I heard what he was saying, he said the revenue on this website, which is lifetime, like $500,000 is what they've made on this website. So to them, that's like a rounding error, and that's exactly what he called it. This is a rounding error. That's what it amounts to. I don't know about you guys, but if I'd made $500,000 in the last few years, I would be pretty happy. But that just tells you how they view it. So it strictly was for marketing. So what we did was we looked at what they had on Amazon, and then we looked at the template providers because they said initially we want to spend about, I don't know, $8,000, maybe $10,000. And we actually did this in that budget. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out, given that's not a big budget, but we understood what their focus was. So, but what I told them is what I tell everyone, and we're going to go back to this in a minute. Review your competitors, review what the templates are, and then look at the product detail page. That's very important. Look at the product detail page on your template when you're deciding. So most people who are like in manufacturing, distribution, or not in graphics have a hard time looking at people on Urban and imagining their products in it, or looking at Lighthouse and saying, oh, I can see my gold and silver coins, which we've used for that exact reason. So it's hard sometimes for people to see that. So if you take it into the product detail page, the person looks at the product detail page, it's a lot easier. That's like really focused. Oh yeah, I can see my t-shirt there. The rest of it's just pictures, colors, and a little bit of styling. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So we went to our buddies over at Seven Spikes, who we definitely make liberal use of other people's templates and plugins. It just gets people to market more quickly. I've kind of jammed on Seven Spikes a little bit because their template portfolio is growing, but it's grown over the years, and so the body of a lot of their older templates is still thinner. So it's like, come on, guys, widen it. And they're saying, we're trying, but they're very busy. So luckily, we're able, through CSS, to make some of those changes ourselves, but you'll see the difference here in a minute. So we chose a theme, and quite naturally for car parts, they chose one for running and vitamins. It is not, though. Seriously, it's not natural. The guy's like, I can't even figure it out. Go to the product detail. So we looked at this and said, and what do you like? You know, we went through the reasons that they liked it. They liked the drop down with the, you know, a little picture and the words on the subcategories. They thought that was nice. Thought it was pretty clean. But the product detail page, that was where they kind of saw their stuff. That was the focus. What do my products look like? So that translated from Nitro and their old site into this site. So, and the top banner is kind of interesting because we actually had the banner nested in the middle. And I wasn't joking, but I was trying to explain widget zones. And I'm like, gosh, you could even like do it across the top. And their graphics guy said, wow, I love that. I was like, really? So what I see is beautiful or amazing. The other person might not. But they love this. And one of the things they do, for example, is they'll go to Comic-Con. Or they're going to go out and meet with Disney. Or they have these licensing deals that last forever. And it takes them years and years and years to close a licensing deal. But they do, what do they call them? I think they're not perpetual licenses, but they said the things they pick people love forever, like you're a lifelong Star Wars fan, or you love Betty Boop, or John Deere tractors, or whatever you're into. So that's the kind of licensing that they do. And they want to go out there and be able to change these banners in a flash and really like represent for the different customers. So we kept their glass buttons on the top. That's their menu, a little different than the Nitro. And then the category menu. And I am going to show, I'm going to do the presentation. I have the nuts and bolts behind the scenes afterwards, if anybody wants to see it. And the presentation's also available too, what this looks like in the back end. So again, we kept the buttons. To accommodate, I want videos that don't move, and pictures, and things that aren't moving around a lot, but to see like what's happening with our products. We created a kind of a cool flyout on the menus. So on the left menu, when you go to each of the menus, we gave them a place in the back end to upload a picture so that as you click down on the menus, these fly out, but they don't move. So they're videos that hold still, or that's how they feel about them. And then we actually used Nop itself in kind of a really fun way. One of the challenges that the client has now is that the people inside are not able to make changes like to the buttons or anything else. So they have to call somebody to come and put stuff in. I don't want to support your website. I want you to support your website because you care about it more than I do. And I mean that respectfully. You care what's happening on it day to day, whereas I care about getting you set up for success, being there when you call me for incidental help, and going on to help somebody else succeed. I do not want to be the one who changes buttons on your website. We'll both be cranky. So what they did is they have Marvel is one of their big brands. They wanted people to get, so they're like, should we have separate stores? And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We went from $5,000 and I don't care to should I have 62 stores with all these different themes? Well, after talking, we realized that a nice use of the filters, of the Ajax filters, would get them there, but developers will tell you that everyone says, my customers are different than anyone else's. You don't understand. Okay, they're people. But what they did was really cool. They reused their buttons. They put those actually in the category description. Sorry, I apologize. This is not a category. This is a brand. And what I did in Nop was I used manufacturers instead of, because they're the manufacturers, I made their brands manufacturers. So I used everything that's in Nop that manages a manufacturer. And I redid all the localizations so that nobody in the company sees the word manufacturers. They see the word brands, because that's their word. That's how they work. So under the brand, there's a way to do a description, as you all know. So within the description for the brand, they put in these buttons, and then they have specification filters in the back for each of the products. So when you click on Spider-Man, Spider-Man clicks over here as well, and only the Spider-Man products show. So they don't really, I mean, of course you could click the checkbox if you want to, but you can also click the picture. It comes up very nicely on the phone. It is responsive because I taught the client to put the pictures in percentages. So it's one row across. I think they have them at 15%. I think that's right. and worked out nicely. So product detail page, which we talked about before being so important, this is the Nitro product detail page, which is what drew them to that template in the first place with their product in it. And I want to emphasize as we go through this, their products have not changed at all. The products that they had in that old kind of weird, like I'm in a time machine site, have not changed. The presentation has changed. And I think that's really important. So just to kind of overlay real quick, this is theirs, this is Nitro, this is theirs. So what we did is said, hey, Nitro, you guys are at 960 pixels across. So I have a long, skinny column going down. So we pulled everything out to 1200, and we've been doing that the last couple of years. It makes a big difference. So by extending the page, most people's current screens are showing it more nicely. And obviously it works well on all the other screen sizes too. So the result is that was when the products were exactly the same and only the presentation had changed. I thought it was very successful, and they're thrilled. They're just absolutely thrilled. So back to the plan. And does anybody have questions so far? So keep going through your plan as you're going through development. And one of the things we feel very strongly about is to don't go old school on development where you have a meeting and take some notes and say, okay, we'll see you in 4 to 6 weeks with your website. We know exactly what you want. And the truth is you don't. Just like with the big banner on the top, I would have never personally, because I'm just not that splashy, but my client's delighted, so I'm delighted. But you have to be collaborative. The gentleman that did the site from the graphics side, and I really had a blast working on this. And when he first showed me the first graphics he did with people, I said, wow, that's crazy. I had no idea that most people that bought car accessories were blonde girls. He's like, really? And I said, well, they're all girls and they're blonde. He happens to be a Hispanic male. He said, God, I can't believe it. So I'm super excited when I look at this site to see that I see brown people, yellow people, old people, young people, boys and girls doing things that they're having fun wearing lanyards or listening to CDs that are in covers or whatever it is that supports their product. But it's a much more diverse and interesting site. And I'm kind of excited that I was able to say that, and he thanked me for it, which was also nice. So what we do is kind of a parallel track with our clients. So we'll set up the NOP site. They need to define a list of products. We'll apply the theme. They're responsible for images for each. We can help with graphics, but they know what their product, they either have images or they know how they want their stuff presented. And my first task for them is always for them to write the perfect about us. And that is for a lot of reasons. One is because it's going to tell you what they want you to know about them, as well as their customers. So some of the things that they haven't been able to articulate, they'll write down in that about us. And then it's a great way to teach them how to upload their topic, their first topic. Because it's like the first one is scary, but they wrote it, it's their website, they've been talking to you, you're not technical and you're not going to make fun of them. And you're super relieved that you're not doing it. So they'll be uploading the first topic. And we always make the test site available. We make it available very soon. And there are two schools of thought on that. I've actually spoken to people here where if they're not technical people, do they freak out because things don't work? You just have to explain to your store owner, we're in development. Nobody else but you and I can see this. There might be some things that blow an error once in a while. NOP is very stable, and the templates are very stable. The customizations that you're doing are probably what are going to blow up a little, or they're going to put in a picture that freaks it out and they forgot to put in the percentage. Way to learn now while you're in a safe place, where you're in a non-exposed website or a non-public website. Obviously, it's public to the customer, but it's not under their domain. Excuse me. And then I do working sessions with my customers so they can learn to add products, learn to add information. They basically, want me out of the way pretty quickly on that, which is the plan. So as we get feedback on what it is that they like or they don't like, we turn that into tasks. So if somebody's like, oh, I don't know, I thought blah, blah, blah. You don't ask the customer to give you the technical spec for what they want. Tell them just let them tell you what they want. And then turn that into a task and give them like spit it back. So if I do this, do you want to see this here and there? What about, and use your best judgment, use your past experience. You know what, I think the price on this is a little bit small. Don't you think it would look better if it was a little bit bigger? Yeah, let's bump that up. People don't know. It's like, yes, it will take a day and a half of programming to make the price bigger, or about 2 seconds. So people that are not technical don't know that. Help them understand what's hard and what's not hard. We also want to integrate the payment gateways, set up the shipping rules, and deploy to the test site, and then have the store owner actually use the site. So seeing pictures of it like you're seeing now, you don't know what the search is like, you don't know what the experience is like. Once they get their hands on it, you're going to get more feedback right away. And I'm sure anybody else that's in development or any other kind of IT support has deployed a project or a system and been like, nailed it. And you go live and the customer's like, okay, I need you to change this and this and this and this. That's because you didn't collaborate enough at the beginning. You kind of have to force the engagement. So you keep going through the iteration process, long or short, depending on how big or small the project is. Your shop owner is going to learn NOP more quickly. They can take over right away. The issues can be addressed quickly while your developers still have the project fresh in their mind, while you still have time on your calendar, while you haven't now committed yourself to the next project. And they're saying, but wait, I thought you were going to be available to me, 8 hours a day. No. So it also helps to cut over to production. And I think that this is the biggest way to pushing a customer out of the nest. If they have this new shop and all this new stuff, and it's like, okay, they freak out. They stare at it. No orders are coming in. Am I doing something wrong? If they've used the site, if they've talked to you, if they've been around their site enough, they're going to be more comfortable updating it, putting new products in, writing more content. And then the SEO, which has to come with or directly after, although I did learn here probably with the development process, will help. They'll understand like what the purpose is and where these fields are and what they should be doing, the next products they add. So it's a constant learning on this, but I think it's critical. Suggestions for deployment are, if it's something that you're going to do once, I recommend the developer do it. And for things like that, I'm talking about localizations. I'm kind of like picky about message templates, so I have a little library of message templates that I use. I don't ask my customers about it. I just put them in there. They look nicer. It has their, a little more elaborate information in there. It'll have their logo. They don't know it's, extra. But I'm not going to say, here's how you do an HTML message template, because that's just not fair. And then all of the legal and policy documents are their responsibility. Probably the thing that they drag their feet on most, because they think they have to pay a lawyer, which they may or may not have to. Help them out. You can't write them, but you can certainly point them in the right direction to templates on the internet. Go look at your competitor's website, Mr. Customer, and if there are things that are really unique to that business, but help them out instead of saying, well, that's your responsibility. We don't do that, because it's your together responsibility to get the site out the door. Arrange for your hosting sooner rather than later, and test your deployment on the hosting server before you go live, because God bless hosting companies who want to give you 1 core and 1 or 2 gigs of RAM for your site on one server, and then it gags. It's not fair to your customer to kind of have to work through all those bumps. So get your situation set up, do your testing yourself there, then have your customer cut over. I do timelines and checklists for everything. They help me. They help my customer. We all kind of know what's going on. Customer comes back and says, where are we? What's happening? I have a list. And it's really helpful. It kind of keeps everything framed. So I recommend using them. And I really recommend not pretending that you understand something if you don't. I recommend that to business owners. I recommend that to developers. business owners, if your developer is saying something and you don't understand it, do not feel stupid, because that's what they do. I bet if you talked about your business, the developer doesn't understand what you're talking about. And they shouldn't pretend either. So if you don't understand, especially as the business owner, you have to ask. Make them help you understand it. Because when we leave, and this is yours, when we give you the keys, this is your business, and your success is depending on this website. So you have to own it. Final thoughts, I would schedule quarterly check-ins with your developer. I would schedule yourself to audit your income versus expenses. So you've projected, what's it going to cost me to do hosting? What's it going to cost me to do the development? What am I going to make on my profits after shipping, after the bank charges, after whatever else is there? And then you can do some tweaking. Are your shipping charges appropriate? Are your fees being factored in properly to your P&L? And are you as profitable as you need to be? I don't know anybody that says I'm too profitable, but sometimes there's a little wiggle room up or down, and you may find that you're not giving yourself enough income because you wanted the business, you're underselling your competitors, but as you start growing your business, you can get a little closer to them. So that's something you can constantly calibrate. And when new questions come up or new situations arise, one of the things that puzzles me greatly is when a customer who's non-technical will start deciding where it should go in NOP or how this should be solved. And I've walked into some crazy stuff where it's like, wow, that's a super creative way to have done that. We have to burn that down, and here's why. And so it's like, oh, I can probably figure this out. Trust me, we've all been down that road. In my family, we have shopping minutes, football minutes, and computer minutes. So computer minutes are about 10 times longer than football minutes. So if my husband knows if I say I'll be 5 minutes, he's like, we're going to start dinner without you. So when a customer does it, I get it. They're like, 5 computer minutes. It's going to take me 5 minutes. And then 3 days later, they're like, I'm losing my mind. Ask for help from your developer or your partner earlier rather than later. You'll get where you want to go. They may have an idea that's super fast, or it may already be in there, and they just need to show you where. And expect to keep learning and changing things on your website. I don't know anybody who doesn't shop on Amazon, but I'm constantly amazed that I'll go there like twice in one day, and the site will be different. So they are constantly changing it. You don't have to do that much change, but keep your site fresh, keep it interesting, make your customers wanting to see like what else is there. And so that was kind of some of the philosophy, feelings, process that I take behind deploying a website, and one example, which I thought was the most basic one, which is just, people say it doesn't really matter which template I pick. I think it mattered a lot. I think it mattered a ton that in that one website where nothing changed on the product side and only on the visual side, I think it makes all the difference in the world. So does anybody have any questions or comments on the stuff we looked at? Oh.